And at the same time that that's taking place, like I'm coming out of this, and I begin. I was working for this company. It was a medical company, and the man that I worked for was a part of the Pentecostal church that I was at, just hyper charismatic, and his wife was given a cancer diagnosis. So his wife was diagnosed with cancer, and he said, um, "Well, we're just going to we're going to pray this away. We don't accept that word. We will not allow the enemy to come against us. We're going to speak against that cancer. We're not going to accept that, and we're going to pray this away." And his wife, she declined chemotherapy, so she decided to forego chemotherapy. And this is like years. Okay, her cancer thing went on for like 2 years or something, and she denied chemotherapy. She denied any treatment up until like the bitter end. And towards the end, she was like, "Oh gosh, I'm sick. I need chemotherapy. Like this isn't working." And they said, "It's too late. It's too late. If we give you chemotherapy, like it would kill you. Your body's too weak." And she ended up dying. And her husband and her family watched this entire thing play out, and they were still adamant about this. And so they ended up keeping her body in the coroner's office, or I guess like the morgue or whatever, for um, after the legal extended time. I think it's like 2 weeks or something, but like she was in there for over 2 weeks because the husband would go in every single day and bring everybody from the church along with him to pray over this woman in order to raise her from the dead. And it didn't happen. And even at the funeral, they said, "This is not a funeral. This is going to be a showing of God's glory. We are here, and if you don't have the same faith if you don't have the amount of faith that it takes to raise her from the dead, then you're not going to be a part of this. We want people who are firm in the faith, who's going to stand on this with us, and she's going to raise from the dead." And I made reservations for dinner for me and my wife, and we are going to dinner. She's raising from the dead, and it never happened. And he ended up collapsing. Like this whole thing. Like a lot of these people were shaken by this, and they said, "Like God, where are you? If this is not your will, then I don't know who you are anymore. And if your will is for us to be healed and to be raised from the dead and not be sick and have our best life ever, and you're not here, then maybe you're not real, or maybe you just don't care." And so
Yeah.
a lot of these people walked away, and that was their version of God. And so I'm watching this like transpire. I'm watching this take place in my life, with my mom, with my church, with my friends, with my boss, and with all these people. And I was like, God, uh, it became like it became like painfully aware again that this was like cult like mentality. It's all based on figureheads from sermons and churches, and these like preachers and pastors who don't know the word of God, don't really have a relationship with God, but they're preaching from this like cultural position. And it was frightening. It was frightening. And so I remember trying to make heads or tails of this, and ended up just diving into theology.
Thanks so much for watching that clip from the Why Jesus podcast. If you want to see the full episode, click right here, and you can also find us on all streaming services. God bless.